Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu channel. We are live today, the 29th of September 2023, bringing you a program we call Ubuntu Sports. And I'm joined by Lawrence, who will be helping us to discuss what a lot of issues that we'll be talking about. One of the issues that we'll be talking about tonight is Zambia's AFCON bid, which failed. We're told that Morocco will host the 2025 AFCON, and the 2027 has gone to East Africa, in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, winning that bid. And we'll also be looking at some fixtures that will be taking place tomorrow and results that took place. Good evening, Lawrence. Welcome to Ubuntu Sports.
Good evening, Reuben, and thank you so much for having me on Ubuntu Sports, and good evening to all the viewers.
Great, Lawrence. Without wasting much time, let's go direct into the program, shall we? We were told. Remember, we hosted the Minister of Sports here. He told us the ambition that they had, that they wanted to host the AFCON 2025, but on the day that we were supposed to announce, we were told that actually that made a joint bid with Botswana to host the 2027, but both bids failed. Lawrence, how did you make of that news?
I think we can talk of a joint bid, but let us look in those preparations. Preparations should not start after winning a bid, but they should start way before that. And when you look at Zambia, I don't think we are ready. In all honesty, we are not ready. We are far from being ready. We only have two stadiums we can put to our name. One of them, I think we are very much aware that was even discredited by CAF itself. The other one also is also supposed to undergo a little bit of some facelifts to be able to host international games. That means that where we stand currently, as at now, even World Cup qualifiers, we cannot host, Reuben. Talk less of hosting a tournament in the next, that is 2 years, that we'll look at 2025, or maybe 4 years we'll look at the 2027. I think if we are to submit such a bid, it's high time we put our house in order and make sure that even when inspectors will come and check the infrastructure that we have, we should be able to point at this and this and this and that. Also, not only the stadiums, I think when you look at accommodation-wise, Reuben, I don't think we are up to speed with the number of hotels that we need in order to host the teams that are supposed to come for that particular tournament, Reuben. Probably in Lusaka, we are able to host quite a number of teams, but I'm not sure how many hotels are currently of that standard where we can host, let's say, a group that will be in Lusaka, based in Lusaka. The training facilities as well. It's quite a far-fetched idea, honestly speaking, and we need to put our house in order, Reuben, before we can talk of those events. So it does not come as a surprise, I should say. I think it was quite an ambitious bid, and kudos to the people who are driving that agenda. It was quite ambitious, but let us match ambition with reality and see to it that we have what is required before we can do those huge steps.
Right, great submission there, Lawrence. There's just the news actually that broke out yesterday. Zesco United was looking for a venue where they could play, because we're told now that Levi Manawasa has gone for the renovation will be starting on this Monday. So we can confirm that Levi Manawasa, in terms of renovations, they will start on Monday. Does that give us hope, Lawrence, that we might host the AFCON, the World Cup qualifiers here in Zambia?
Of course, I think if you remember, the minister mentioned actually that they not the minister, it's the FAS, the Football Association of Zambia, that actually communicated to say they are looking forward to doing some works on Levy, because at least with Levy there is so much hope that thing issues can be fixed. They were given a list of things that they need to work on, and they are able to do them, to work on them before actually the upcoming fixtures in the country for World Cup qualifiers. So it's not much of a surprise that we are able to work on them. We should be able to work on them, and I'll be shocked if we don't. But that only gives us one stadium in the as a country. What else? I mean, what are we supposed to do going forward? Reuben, there is quite a number of infrastructure that we need to work on, and probably start some of them from nothing, from scratch, and ensure that they are also on the list of Zambian uh, list of infrastructure present. But also, we should, I think the government should kind of encourage the private sector to come on board and build the required accommodation as well, because the government alone cannot achieve this dream that they have. So it will need some hotel facilities in all the areas where they will have those infrastructure. Should be able to accommodate at least 4 teams, which is constituent of a group in the AFCON group stages. So that is where we should be.
All right, let's look at the good news that we saw during the week. We saw Copa Queens beating Morocco back to back in Morocco with some interesting hat tricks by Barbara Banda and also Rachel Kundananji. Is that the kind of friendlies that you think the Copa Queens should be undertaking? And how did you take the preparations for the upcoming AFCON for the Copa Queens?
In all honesty, I think Morocco were the losing finalists of the previous edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, that is the AFCON.
Yes.
And to play with them twice and beat them twice, it's a very good result. And it should give us confidence that we can be able to face off with the current champions. And if possible, let us also see to it that we battle it out with teams like Nigeria, who managed to do better than us as they just ended the women's FIFA World Cup. So it was a good showpiece. It was a good arrangement, and I'm happy that we organized such kind of a friendly, high profile indeed, and we managed to win. That is also a plus on our side.
Great, Lawrence. Let's look at the Kundananji and also Barbara Banda. These have been key in terms of when it comes to women's football here in Zambia. How far do you think these two can go? Looking at how now they're banging goals, and also their names is all over in terms of women's football here in Zambia.
Yeah, and they are quite famous names now. I think over the years they have built some huge reputation for themselves, and it's good to see both of them actually doing the most at that stage. But Reuben, I think the fanfare also comes out with we cannot go without mentioning. I think the role that Rachel Kundananji was having with some spectators and fans on social media, who were actually calling her a little bit selfish and things like that. And she came out blazing her guns to say, here I am, this is what I've achieved and things like that, blah, 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 in all those lines. I think players like Rachel should understand that when things are not going well for the team, the names they have bet for themselves will also lead to them being the ones to be blamed for this and that. This has not gone well. They will be blamed. They will expect the big names to come to the plate, to come to the table every time when things are so hard for everybody else in the team. And when people are coming out like that, telling her that she's a little bit selfish and all that, it means that things are not going well. And when things go well, they actually praise the same names. So I think a little bit of PR skills for these big stars is also important for them. They will learn to be able to handle such kind of pressure and all that kind of and all this kind of criticism. Nonetheless, to say that fans sometimes we tend to find the faults whenever things don't go well for the team, especially for the big stars, like I mentioned earlier on. So it's a 50-50 kind of a thing, Reuben, where we need fans to learn to understand and notice effort, even when things don't go well. But also, it needs to, the players themselves need to understand where the fans are coming from. It's out of love, a place of love where they criticize mostly these big names, Reuben.
Yeah, sure. We saw the list that Bruce Mope has prepared just to bring the viewers to speed. This coming month in October, the women's COSAFA tournament that will be kicking off as usual. The host is known is South Africa. Lawrence, we've been told, or the list that has been given to us by Bruce Mope indicates that there is no foreign player that will be going for the COSAFA qualifications. Is that the right move, Lawrence?
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I was having a challenge getting a question, Reuben. Can you kindly repeat that?
All right, I can hear you now. So I was saying in October, we'll have the women's COSAFA tournament being hosted by South Africa. And of course, Zambia is participating and going there as the defending champions. But the list or the names that Bruce Mope has prepared does not include any foreign player. So in short, Robino Barbara Banda, there is no Kundananji and any other foreign based players. He has picked players that are playing in the local league, mostly being dominated by the Green Buffaloes football club. Is that the right move, Lawrence? Excluding the guys who are foreign based?
It's not about the move, Reuben. We are looking at the money that is involved with when it comes to COSAFA competitions. Remember, even for the men's COSAFA, we always use local players because of the money that is involved. Reuben, it's pointless for an association to spend so much money flying in all those stars, bringing them to the fore, so they can come and play friendlies and come and play the COSAFA. And then after winning the whole tournament, you become champions, and you look at the amount of money that you've spent and the amount of money that you are winning, Reuben. It's even less by half. It's just half the amount of the total amount spent on cost. What are you doing there? So I think almost every country that participates for COSAFA never brings international stars because it's just look at the prize money altogether, and we're trying to reduce on the expenses that the team the country will incur. Also, I think it's quite a good audition for these local players, for them to stake a claim to play at the Africa Cup of Nations that is next year. It's a very good chance for them to audition themselves. So there are positives to this, there are negatives to this. But I think every other country will not bring their international star.
All right, great. Lawrence, let's look at what is happening in the Continental. MUZA is off in Congo Brazzaville, and also the DYNAMOS they're in Tanzania to play Simba. Both teams are on the verge of going out because any scoreless draw, both teams are out. We know that MUZA is down by 2-1, 2 goals in terms of away goals by Diabos, no, and then Simba drew here when they came by 2-2. That game that was played at Levi Manasseh Stadium. Lawrence, if you look at the two teams, do you think any one of them is going to make it into the group stage of the Continental? That is the CAF and the Confederation Cup, the Champions League and the Confederation Cup.
Okay, let me start with the CAF Champions League first, where we have the Power DYNAMOS drawing with Simba peace. First and foremost, I think a day before that game, we were are here talking about that game, and I was very sure that Simba will come and wallop and the white us here. And impressively, Power Dynamos were the first one to go on the score sheet. I think there is a point where when you are at home and you take the lead, you have to learn how to manage the game. And I think that is where Power Dynamos missed it. They did not manage the game as they should have done so. But not to say a 2-2 draw was not quite, not really a bad result, looking at the kind of opponents they were facing. So the job at hand here, Reuben, is if they can win by any margin, they are through. If they can draw and produce another draw 2-2, take that game into extra time and probably into post-match penalties. Any draw of more than 2 goals apiece means that Power Dynamos are through. Now, this is where it gets complicated, Reuben. I think playing away from home is one thing that is very complex and very challenging, especially here in African setup. But it's no excuse that we should allow ourselves to be defeated before the game. So I want to a situation whereby we see Power Dynamos remain compact, especially from the back, and ensure themselves that they utilize every simple chance that they have. They should make sure that they utilize, they maximize on all the potential howlers and mistakes that are going to occur, especially at the back line of the Power Dynamo. Of Simba. It's quite tricky, Reuben, to rely on such kind of a tactic, but I think they are not at a bad stage. Where they are right now, they still have a very good chance of going through. So all the best to Power Dynamos. Now coming to the Confederations Cup, I think MUZA have to play a free flow kind of a game, because for them, they need the goals, and there is no two ways about it. They need at least 2 goals for them to have a chance of going through, and that will mean that they have to play a very attacking game. Reuben, I'm also impressed that FAZ has even offered both clubs the Chipolopolo coach in Avram Grant, that they should be able to use him whenever they need any help. That is a
but
good
Lawrence, but don't you think this is coming too late?
I don't think it's too late, Reuben. I don't think it's too late. What it is that at least some help has come through if they need it. And if they need it, they should be able to contact the Chipolopolo coach and get know if it's even possible for them to include on the list of those on the bench. So I don't think it's too late, Reuben.
All right. Let's come back to the Zambian Super League as we wind up the program. Let's start with the team that is looking at the most disappointing so far in Nkana. We thought with a new coach things will improve, but we saw them first game they got a draw, and the first goal of the season against MUZA. They played against Forest Rangers, Lawrence, and they were back to default settings again. So new season, new coach, same results for Nkana.
Well. I really pity this team right now. They are the bottom of the league as it stands, having just picked up 1 point from the first 5 games. I think this is the lowest we can ever allow Nkana to sink. Hopefully, things start coming to the fore for them, and things start working out as soon as possible. But they really need to register a win. Reuben, I can say that the bottom of the league right now, but they are not so far off, because only a point behind the 17th place Trident, and 2 points behind Concola Blades, and also just 4 points behind the Green Eagles, Green Buffaloes, Bison Leopards, NAPSA, all those. So just takes 2 wins for them, and they will be far from the relegation zone, I think. So it's not really too late for them to start registering those points that they need right now from where they stand. They can really survive this and probably find themselves top half of the table if they manage to win a couple more of a couple more games on top of that.
They face Trident, a new team that is facing the Super League for the first time. Do you think this is a moment that they can get the first 3 points of the season?
I didn't hear that, Reuben.
I'm saying this weekend on Sunday, 15 hours at Woodland Stadium, they face Trident, a team from Northwestern, playing for the first time in the Zambian Super League. Do you think Nkana can take advantage of this and pick up the first 3 points of the season?
Oh yes, this is the opportunity for them. We are looking at 18th versus 17th. So both teams that are struggling. Only that one is in a better position than the other, but all of them are struggling. I think this should be a game that Nkana must win. If Nkana fails to win this one, then now I will get one to say there is no one they can beat at their stage.
Interesting there. Let's also look at the game that will be played tomorrow, Saturday. We've got a lot of games taking place, but one of the interesting games is the Lusaka Derby. Red Arrows host NAPSA Stars. Lawrence, how do you see this coming up? We saw NAPSA Stars winning for the first time last week, beating Zanaco 3 goals to 0, and we saw a disappointing results from Red Arrows losing to Mufurira Wanderers by 1 goal to 0.
I think Red Arrows always carry an upper hand when it comes to these matches. So I mean, NAPSA Stars carry an upper hand when it comes to these matches, and I think NAPSA Stars must continue their dominance, their recent stage over Red Arrows, and well, I think the last time that Red Arrows beat NAPSA Stars was probably in 2020 or 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But the whole of last year, I think the best Red Arrows could come up with against the NAPSA Stars was a draw, and I think that kind of pattern should continue. Though it's very difficult, I think, to predict games, especially in the early days. It's easier to predict games in the second round of fixtures, but in this first round, I think I can go with my prediction that NAPSA Stars will carry the day.
Wow, NAPSA Stars will carry the day. Okay, let's look at the Zesco game. Zesco at home, though they're not playing at Levi Manosa Stadium, they're playing at the Davison Stadium. They're home for Power Dynamos. They'll be hosting Prison. They'll be hosting Green Eagles, actually, all the way from Choma. Lawrence, you understand the previous game for Eagles, they allowed 4 goals when they played against MUZA in the MUZA Derby, losing by 4 goals to 0. Zesco United, they were down by 1 man, but managed to pick up points against Power Dynamos in that 4-goal thriller, coming out 2-2. How do you see this game coming out? Zesco United versus Green Eagles.
Reuben, I foresee a 0-0 game. I'm not a prophet, but I think history has taught me that these two teams actually find a challenge playing against each other. So I think there's a time when Zesco managed to wallop Green Eagles that 3 goals to 0. But I think this time around, we should expect a stalemate, 0-0 to be precise.
Right, but when you look at Green Eagles this season, they've been allowing a lot of goals, except that game when they played against Ankana, the only win that I've picked up so far. But when you look at the previous just 2 games, they've allowed 6 goals. Do you still stand with your union?
still stand with my nil-nil. I think Zesco also have not been so much prolific as I expected them to be so far. Yes, they have done some good damages on some opponents of late and things like that, but I think they're not at the stage where I expect them to be. Therefore, I'm still convinced that this is a 0-0 kind of affair.
Great. The last fixture that we're going to analyze, Lawrence, is the Zanaco versus Prison Leopards game. Both teams coming from a loss, Zanaco losing to Napsa Stars, and Prison Leopards losing in the Cowboy Derby against Cowboy Warriors. Another interesting match. Both teams are looking for a win, especially Prison Leopards, who are on 13th with 5 points. A good game for Zanaco to take home advantage. But Lawrence, how do you see this game coming out?
Interestingly, Reuben, Prison Leopards have been a thorn in Zanaco's flesh for some time now. I think the whole of last year, they beat, let me say last season, they beat this home and away on an aggregate score over 3-0. But I think fortunes may begin to change here, and Zanaco should hold an upper hand on this one. This is a game Zanaco has already in hand, and it's theirs to lose at this point in time. So I would say probably a 1-0 kind of affair to Zanaco.
All right, let's end it here, Lawrence. Thank you very much for coming through, and we wish Power Dynamos will be playing Simba in Tanzania all the best. We hope for our teams to go as far as they can so they can bring back all those 4 slots, Lawrence. We are slowly losing, forgetting about the 4 slots, Lawrence.
I can't forget about our slots, but the truth of the matter is that at the stage where we are, when you look at MUZA, first and foremost, you cannot put that burden on them simply because I think they are playing continental football for the first time. They have to learn the drill. They have to master the art, know exactly what is required. Probably the next time that they go into this, they will be very sure of exactly how the field is, how to take. I mean, you're looking at a coach who is playing continental football for the first time. You're looking at a whole bunch of players who have never been where they are right now. Some of them, some of the players are riding on a plane for the first to West Africa and things like that. All these things are coming in, new experiences and all that. So if we are to put that burden on them when they were not even there, as we lost that those other slots for the continental showpieces and all that, I think it would be very much unfair. Also, Power Dynamos have been in the wilderness for quite some time when it comes to CAF Champions League. They are back there now, but I think for them, they have the know-how and all that. That is why they are able to hold on, to hold an African giant in Simba to a 2-2 draw here. If it was MUZA playing Simba, I think we would have seen quite different results. So the thing is, all we can talk about is them going to the next stage, and then when they get to talk about them going to the next stage, and the next up to the time when probably they needed, or at the time when they lift either short pieces.
Thanks very much, Lawrence. Thank you for making it and for coming through this program. This is where we need to end, and need to see you next week. To our viewers, thank you very much for joining us and for making it on Ubuntu channel. This was Ubuntu Sports. We'll see you next week, same time. It's bye-bye from us.